Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar. This is January 30th. Our topic is IB Math Curriculum. Topic number 4, Statistics and Probability. On your screen now is a list of all of the IB webinars, the ones that have already occurred, and also the date for the final one. All of the webinars are available on demand. That means you can watch the recorded version of it. We're also recording tonight's event. I'm your host, Ruth Casey, and I'll be with you this evening. Kind of in the background, just checking on things. As we begin, we will check audio. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to do that now. We will be using the chat window tonight. So if you would like to find the chat bubble down at the bottom, you have a floating toolbar down there, and see if you can activate your chat panel. It'll come over at the right. When we use chat this evening, we will chat out to all participants. That will assure that Dan sees it as well as other people joining us tonight. So if you want to test out your chat panel right now, select all participants from the drop-down menu to 2 and send out a greeting with your location. Give everybody a hi from your location this evening. During the event tonight, if you have audio issues, you can use the communicate panel up at the top, or also find something down in the floating toolbar at the bottom. If you are unsuccessful in being able to reconnect to audio, you might just decide to watch it later. It is going to be recorded. Thank you so much for sending out greetings there in the chat, and thank you for choosing all participants. I'm going to send it on over to Daniel, your presenter for tonight.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Ruth. How are you?
I'm well, Daniel.
I want to welcome everybody to tonight's, our second last webinar in our IB series. My name is Daniel Wilkie, and I am a mathematics teacher in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. I teach at Christ Church Episcopal School. It's an IB school kind of in the heart of Greenville. And I've been teaching IB classes for the past 16 years in both South Carolina and Virginia. I was even an IB coordinator for a few years, so taught all levels of the IB math. And I know we're all looking forward to the wonderful changes that have started this year, and they're going to start examining next year. So a little bit about me. Yes, I've been teaching IB for 16 years, but I'm also an examiner. So I've been able to work with IB grading not only the Math Studies exam every May and sometimes in November, but I also am a moderator for the Math Studies IA, and that's going to be changing. We just did a webinar on that before Christmas, so hopefully some of you caught that. I think that's going to be a bit of an adjustment for the studies classes, going from studies to the interpretations class. But what we're trying to accomplish here with doing this through TI, and we're just kind of showing, yes, there are changes coming, but we're all in this together. And tonight, what we're going to do is just kind of take a look at the changes that will be happening for IB and for math. We are in our, 7-year change. So they made some big adjustments here, kind of doing away with names and then adding stuff, taking away stuff, and combining stuff. The first webinar we did way back in July just kind of was an overview of everything. And then what we've been trying to do over each month is tackle each topic. Because what IB did is they condensed the material down to 5 main topics, if you did not already know that. and we've been tackling each topic each month. So we are on topic 4 now, statistics and probability. And what we should kind of see in this new curriculum is there's a lot of overlap between the 4 new courses and each topic. But of course, they also have some new stuff thrown in there. But one thing I'd like to say, I just love the beginning of the webinar and seeing everybody say hi from where they're from. We have about 80 people joining us tonight, which, it just turned 80. And I think that's the most we've had in our webinars, and this is kind of great. I'm seeing everybody from around the country, from Canada, from down in South America. This is kind of awesome. So I hope you get something out of this tonight, and if you have any questions, please feel free, like Ruth said, to mention them on the chat. She and I kind of try to do multiple things there. I kind of look at the chat as I'm talking, and maybe I'll just pop in an answer here and there. If I miss it, please don't take offense. Ruth will try to pick up on it also, and we'll kind of go from there. This is our second last webinar for the new curriculum, but I'm talking to TI about doing some more. And one thing that I've been trying to do each webinar is make it a little bit better, change it up to help people, because we've had some people who have been listening to all of them, and then we got some newcomers or just kind of coming in and out of them. And I want to make them better each time. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to either mention it in the chat or send me an email. I'll put my email address at the end so you can shoot me an email, because I'm always trying to make it better, and I'm always looking for new ideas for these IB webinars because, again, there are some big changes happening, and if we can help one another through this, that's just going to make everybody's life a little bit easier. So please feel free, like I said, chat room, make comments, suggestions. If you need any clarifications, please do not hesitate. Because I don't want to leave anybody behind in this. So why don't we just kind of jump in to what the changes actually are that are going on. There's a document that I've been using since July, which is this one right here. Awesome, popped up on the screen. So we're going to just kind of scan through some of the topic 4 changes. And is it okay if I take control? I already got the presenter. Thank you so much. So what I'm going to share my screen with everybody. And my favorite document is this one. So basically what this document is showing, I received this from a friend of mine who is one of the workshop leaders going around the country to all the new math teachers and, kind of leading the workshops that are training them for the new curriculum. And he gave me a few documents, this being one of them, that he's been using in those workshops, and I get to share it with you. So if you've listened to one of my webinars before, we're just going to briefly talk about this because I don't want to kind of beat this one to death. But if you have a chance to look at this document, it is available for you. This is kind of my go-to thing when people ask me, what are the changes, what's been added, what's been taken away? And it's been helping out, especially the people who are a little nervous kind of going through this. So what you see up here, and I'll just give you the breakdown of what this means. You'll see up at the top it says key. The kind of, peachy color is the new content. So what they tried to do is they tried to take topics that are currently in the studies, SL and HL, and even the further mathematics, and kind of sprinkle them into these 4 new subjects. So some of them are going to be new to the courses. Some of them are going to be the same. And so what this key is showing you is what's new for each of the 4 new courses. So you'll see how it's broken up. You got the key at the top, and then the 4 columns represent the 4 new courses. The first two, applications and interpretations, the second two, analysis and approaches, both the SL and the higher level. So anything that's kind of a peachy color is going to be new content for that course. You'll see the next one over is green, and that's your math studies content. So the course that most mirrors, of course, math studies is your applications and interpretation. So that first column, if you were teaching studies, that's your column. That's the one you should be focused on. That's the course that you probably will be teaching going forward. The column right next to it, the second column, that is the new course. It's the higher level version of applications and interpretations. So it's everything in column 1 plus everything in column 2. So if you were unaware, and some maybe not, that the SL course for each subject, the analysis and the application, are complete subsets of the higher level. So everything taught in standard level is also taught in higher level. Some schools are finding that a little bit easier because now they can kind of co-teach or teach them in the same classes and then split them up in the second year going further. But, you know, it's whatever works best for the school. So the first two columns, like I said, those are applications and interpretations. And then you'll notice that anything that is purple, that's the closely related to the Math SL courses, so the current Math SL. So you'll kind of, if you scan through, you will not see purple until you get to 4.8 in the new Providence Stats topic 4, because everything in green is from the current studies course. So that is going to be new for your SL kids. There's a bit more probability and statistics than they are used to. So that's on the SL side of things. For those students who are going from, or those teachers going from studies to the applications and interpretations, you're still getting a lot of Providence Stats, but you're actually getting a few topics from the Math SL also. So there are some things, and I've heard this from the different webinars that I've been doing, and when I did a 2-hour workshop in South Carolina, that, you know, teachers are nervous about what they've added to math studies, and is it going to be more challenging for the students? I think it is going to be a little bit more challenging, but I think that was on purpose from IB to kind of raise the bar a little bit. I know we teach studies to a lot of students who maybe struggle in math and just want that Math IB course to fulfill their requirements. But, you know, I think we're looking across the board to raising the level in all 4 classes. And I think it's going to be a challenge. I'm really interested to see what happens over the next couple of years when we actually take our first exams next year. So keep my fingers crossed that things are good. So up at the top again, you'll see the blue. That's the Math HL. So anything in blue is from the current Math HL course. And anything in yellow is the options. So the basic idea behind the options, they've taken the options and they've made in the analysis and approaches the kind of calculus option. That's the bulk of the calculus work. Even though all 4 courses have calculus, that's more of the calculus option. And then the other options have been kind of put in the interpretations higher level course. So that's why you'll see a lot of yellow kind of coming in on this page right here. You'll see a lot of the yellow coming in. Those are the other options sprinkled in there. So just kind of scanning through these courses. For those people who are also unaware, there's little asterisks by the 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. Anything with an asterisk is called the core. So each of the 4 courses have the same core material taught in all of them. So there's 60 hours of material that is the same in all 4 courses. So anything, like I said, with an asterisk is the same material. And so you'll notice that as I scan through this a little bit, It goes all the way up to 4.8, okay, and that's where the kind of core ends. Or I'm sorry, I take that back. It's 4.9. So at 4.9, that's where it starts to differentiate between the applications and interpretations and the analysis and approaches. So please, if you ever get a chance, a spare moment, just check this out. Just kind of go through and see what the differences are, what the similarities are. Not to make you nervous or anything like that, but I think it is very useful to check this out and see what's happening, what's been added and what's been taken away. And then finally, through all of these changes, I'm going to scroll down. Sorry if I go a little fast, but I'm going to scroll down all the way to the bottom. There's one more section here, and this section is the subtractions and additions to the courses. Kind of a real quick overview of the things that have been taken out or in. You'll notice in the subtractions, there really hasn't been a lot of province stats that has been changed, except for the Poisson distribution for the higher level stuff. But the additions, you'll notice that going from, from the studies class to the applications, there have been some additions for this province stats section, including sigma notation, including probability distributions, t-tests, binomial distributions. So there actually has been a lot added, and this is what has made some people nervous going from the studies group, because I love teaching studies because it was a good overview of high school math taught, and with a little flair for IB. And I always had some high students, low students, middle of the way students, and it was just a good fit for them. And so with all they've added there, it just kind of makes me a little nervous, so I'm interested to see what happens. So and I was just reading the question, I'm sorry. It says, of the 60 hours of core material, how many should be allocated to topic 4 province stats? So I don't have the exact, because there's 150 hours in the standard level courses. So 60 of those hours are your core material. I don't have the breakdown of what they are for province stats, but that can be found, and that's something, since you brought that up, I'll go to it right now. But please check out your resources, your DP resources on your MyIB, and then scroll down to the math. So if you go to your one of them, applications and interpretations, this will have that breakdown of the amount of hours that you should be spending. So please check that out. I don't have the hours for you right now. Sorry, Jim. But, that's where I would go to get that breakdown of the hours. Please use, because they have some good resources here with respect to not only the curriculum, but also specimens. So for both exam-style questions and for internal assessments, please check that out. TI is trying to help out as best as we can, but again, this is a great place to go for those sample questions. So thank you for bringing that up, and check out your MyIB page. So kind of going away from the what's new sheet, please look at this at your leisure. We're in, so this one, Ruth, if you can, have we shared this document with them? Do they get access to this, this document right here? Because
I sent a link in the chat, and also they'll be getting the link in the email, and they may have gotten the link when they registered.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Ruth. I appreciate that. So this, please use this to the best of your ability to check things out, because, like I said, this is my go-to sheet when I'm discussing this with people. And, with what's coming, I'm really interested in, if anybody has been to a training, or if you're in a true 2-year course and you have started teaching this already, I would love to hear your reactions and what's happening in your classroom and what your students are thinking and what's going on. So I would love that feedback, because at my school that we're at, we're still finishing out the old material, and we haven't started the new material yet. So I'm interested to see what's going on with everybody else, if anybody has started that yet. So that's kind of a quick overview. I know we only spent 12, 13 minutes on that, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what's changing. So what is TI doing to help you out? Well, about a year ago, I sat down with some people at TI, and they wanted to, since the math was changing, they wanted to be part of the change. And they wanted to see what can we do to help teachers out going forward. So if you have not been to the TI websites recently, and I'll go there right now. So here is the TI website. It's just education.ti.com. So if you haven't been there recently, there are a few things that have changed. One is there is, of course, a new calculator, okay, that came out in the spring, the TI-Nspire CX2, which is allowed, and I'm going to make this statement out, and there has to be a correction. I have to talk to TI about this, because in Ruth's slideshow that she was showing is the updated version, but on the website they haven't updated it yet. So when you see this, what you should notice is that the CX version, the CX2, is permitted on everything, the SAT, ACT, AP, IB exam. The CAS version, okay, it says only SAT and AP. That is incorrect, okay, because I went to the IB websites and made sure, I just want to double check, but the TI-Nspire CX2 is, with the CAS, is available, okay, but there's a brand new feature in the TI CX2 CAS version. You have the ability to turn off the CAS functions, which basically, when they take the exam, if you turn off that through Press to Test, they can use those calculators. So I just wanted to let everybody know that, with the new calculators here, both the CX2 and the CX2 CAS are allowed on all of the exams, on the IB exams. You just have to turn off the CAS functions before you actually take the exam. And I love that, because I teach in my school, I'm teaching both BC Calculus and IB Math in my classroom. So, during period one, I have my BC Calc students, and they get to use the CAS functions. But then in my period three, they're my IB students. They don't get to. So, and I can turn that off. So that's what I really love about the new calculators. So my recommendation, if you're an Inspire user, or if your school's getting new Inspires or new calculators, go for the CAS, because if you don't want them to use the CAS functions, you can turn them off, which is wonderful. So just kind of highlighting that fact. So that's one thing new to IB, or new to TI. You'll also see a lot of STEM activities kind of going on. So there is so much going on with coding, robotics, and all that stuff, and there's many activities that go with them. That's not what this webinar is about, but I still wanted to highlight it because, you got to love STEM. But what I want to show you is, under activities, there are hundreds and hundreds of activities that are available to you for free for you to do, honestly, anything you want with them. So you can take an activity, download it, and then there's a Word document, alter it how you want it to fit your classroom, and it's yours. There are documents that you can download on your calculators, both the Inspire and the 84, that you can make your own and do what you want with them. So, and that's all available to you, free of charge. So what they've added to the activities, and there's two places you can get to this, you'll notice that off to the right here it says IB Resources. So that's one of the highlights there. But you can also go to the Resources tab, and down here IB Resources is there also. So if I click on that, what's going on with this page? Well, this was open, it started in July, and we've done 2 waves of activities that have been uploaded. And I'm happy to say that we have done the second wave. I've been promoting that the last 2 webinars, and finally everything is uploaded. So And what I mean by 2 waves of activities is, through the hundreds and hundreds of activities that are currently on TI's website, a lot of them are applicable to IB. So it was up to myself and some instructors from pretty much all over the world to go through those activities and see which ones would best fit, an IB curriculum. And that's what we did. We kind of narrowed it down to a bunch, and then I took that narrowed down set, and, that's what you have uploaded in this website. So if you were to, in the analysis and approaches, if you click on Browse Activities, okay, here are all the activities that are now uploaded for you to look through. Now, that's a lot to go through. So there are 2 drop-downs here. One is for the topic, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We are in topic 4, so I'm going to click on Stats and Prob. And so now these are all the activities in the probability statistics. You'll see there's almost half and half, 84, and Inspire. So what I did in my second round of finding activities is I tried to find an activity that was applicable to both the 84 and the Inspire. So because honestly, there are a lot of 84 users, and there will always be a lot of 84 users, and they need activities. So, and I want to find what I can to, to help you out for the 84s. Now, having said that, there are going to be a little bit more of the Inspire just because as we update the technology, we're doing more with the Inspire and a little less with the 84. So you're going to see a little bit more with the Inspire. So the dark blue, those will be your 83, 84s, and then the light blue will be your Inspires. Okay? So what is cool about this is once you pick something, let's just say that you want to do something with, which one do I want to do? We'll do percentiles. What the heck? If I click on percentiles, what you are given is a little screenshot of what this activity is all about. And you can play that, and it kind of goes and highlights some of the screens and what you're going to be doing. And then goes through the steps of what you will be performing with that. But the cool thing is down at the bottom. You will have a zip file of every file that's included in this activity, which will include at least 3 things. You will get a PDF document, a Word document of the activity for both you and the student, and then you'll also get a calculator file. So that's all included here. And you can kind of see the breakdown. You'll see how you have student activity PDF, teacher notes PDF, and then we also have Word documents. So what I love about the Word documents is you can make it your own. Okay, you can do what you want with that. So all you have to do is basically click on that and type in, if you want to change the numbers around, it doesn't fit what you're doing with that class and you want to change it around a little bit, please do. And then over here are the files for the calculator themselves. If it says TNS, that's the Inspire file. But here is my little extra addition to these activities. I have been asked to write exam-style questions for each of the activities, because what I always thought that the TI activities were missing sometimes was an extension. So taking what the activity did and then applying it to what we do in IB or to the real world, kind of giving that example. So I have written a question, an IB-style question for each of these activities that are in here. So if we click on the IB question, what you'll see is a sample of, just an IB question, okay? So in this case, we have freshly picked cantaloupes in California, and we're talking about a normal distribution. All right, so what it gives you is the question here, but it also gives you the mark scheme and how you're going to award the points. So just as you would see in, your IB exam. And again, it's both in the PDF and the Word format. So you can take the Word format and please, even though I wrote it and even though it's on the TI website, if you want to change things around, please do, okay? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help you out, giving you a starting point so that you can do something with that. So there are currently 50 IB questions on the website. So like I said, I've done 2 rounds of 25, so we got 50 questions for you to use and abuse to however you want. So please use them. I did them for you. TI wants to help you out, so please use them. So those are some of the activities that are on here. So you can go through either analysis and approaches or applications and interpretations and browse those activities. Now, unfortunately, they are reused activities, so there's nothing brand new yet. So our next phase, because we've done 2 phases so far to kind of put what's up there now, our next phase is to actually start writing activities that are IB specific. And you're welcome. Anything I could do to help. And so our next wave of 25 new activities and 25 new IB questions, those are going to be IB-specific activities. So we're going to take those new topics that are sprinkled in those new courses, and we are actually going to write activities for them. Because like I said, the first wave was just reusing what we had just to give us a jumping off point. But now we are going to, like I said, really push forward and get those activities. So here is my question, or my favor, my slightly begging to all of you. If there is an idea for an activity that you would like to see done, please, if you can share it with me through an email or through the chat, I would love to kind of see that and make it happen, because I consider myself a pretty good teacher, and I can write good questions and I can perform good activities, but I'll admit that I need help. And so if you have an idea that I can kind of build off of, and I'll definitely give you credit for it. So, but I would love your help through all this, because I just want to make this a really cool interactive website as we go forward. The other thing on this website, just so you can kind of see at the bottom here, these are our webinars that we have. So on the left, you see the live webinars. If you click on the register, you can click for through the webinars. It'll give you a list of all, not just the IB, but webinars in general for TI. But also on the right are all the past webinars. So if you were to click on that, and let's just say you missed topic 2 and 3, and you would like to see, here's the topic 3 webinar that we did, here's topic 2. So all of the webinars that we do are going to be up here. Now you'll also notice that there are more than just the ones I've been doing, because in total we will have done 7 webinars for IB. I like that idea. Thank you, Samantha. So basically what I want to show you is that there are people from all around the world doing webinars for IB, for TI, just on certain little things. I know they're on the past IB subjects, but I still think some of the stuff that they talk about is going to be useful. So I think it would be a great idea for, if you have any concerns, questions, to go check those out, because those are going to be useful for you too. But that is just for your benefit. If you didn't get to listen to me on a regular basis, I know that's high on everybody's priority list, but they're there if you want to listen to them. All right. So what I thought I'd do for the remaining 20 minutes that we have here is just kind of go through a couple of the activities, just to kind of show you what is out there through these. Some of you may have seen them, some of you may have not, but I really think that they're useful. I got to do a demonstration in my classroom for all the math teachers and the administration at my school on Tuesday, and it was the first time that they got to see, because they bought me some new TI-Nspires, and that was the first time they got to see how I got to use them in my class, and I showed them a couple of activities, and it was really eye-opening, and it was really cool to show. So I hope that's what I hope you get out of these, because I think some of the activities are great, and I love that you can add your own little flair to it, and it just makes it your own. So some of the stuff I'll just kind of go through here. Something big for all you studies teachers is the chi-square, distribution. So we have an 84 activity here. This is the student activity. And you'll see that it kind of gives you a little background of chi-square, the notation, and then it leads students through a problem, kind of hand-holding them, because you're never just going to throw them into the deep end. So it's a little bit of a hand-holding at the start, and it lets them go through this. And it goes through a couple problems with that until, they feel more comfortable. And I'm sorry if I'm scrolling through this pretty fast, but I'm just kind of showing you some outline. Because what I want to do is once they've worked on, 1 through 11, then they get to kind of do their own thing. You kind of give them, okay, here's number 12. Go ahead and apply what we've just learned through that. And this is the cool thing about these activities is the people who put all these activities together try to incorporate not only just here is how you should do these things, but now let's apply it, okay? And that's how I always felt IB was. It was not just, okay, here's how you use the quadratic formula, here's a quadratic equation, solve for x's. They actually took it a step further and applied those to real-world situations. And so when I was going through all the activities, that's what I was looking for is not only did the topics mesh up with what IB was doing, but was it applied to something? So not only in the activity do you get this real-world application, but then once you're done with this, you can say, okay, here's your little checkpoint at the end of an IB question. So not only are they learning the material, practicing the material, but then they're also getting the IB side of things in the form of an IB exam question. So that's what I'm really excited about with, using these activities, especially in my classroom, because there's so much out there. I know I get to talk to you for 50 straight minutes, and I hope I don't bore you, but I don't like doing that in my classroom. It really frustrates me when I walk and I sit in on teachers' classrooms and all they're doing is talking and telling kids how to do things. I feel better. I had in my BC Calc class today, we were doing a difficult problem, and I left it up to them to figure it out. It took them a little bit longer, but it was them talking to each other, talking it out in class, and they finally came up with a solution. Instead, I could have ended that class in 5 minutes and showed them how to do it, but they did the exploring, okay? And I think they're a lot better off because of it. And so that's kind of, what we're trying to do here is, maybe help them a little bit in the beginning, but then say, here, take it and go in that activity. So what you'll notice is we have a chi-square distribution, okay, with respect to the 84, but we also have it with respect to, the Inspire. So if I were to go to my Inspire, we have a chi-square activity on the Inspire also. So again, I tried to pick activities that were both 84 and Inspire. So if you have the 84s, you can do that first activity I told you. If you have the Inspire, you can download this and do this with your kids. So, it kind of goes through the different, here's your table, all right, and then it kind of shows you the chi-square value, the p-value off to the side here, and it opens up the discussion of, oh, is that what the graph looks like for a chi-square? What does that mean? So I'm hoping that in your class you can get into a discussion between the table and what these graphs stand for. And you have the ability to, oh, if that's 174, what if it was really 180, okay, and I change that, then you'll notice that the chi-square and the p-value change and the graph changes off to the right. So in these activities that were downloaded from the TI website, you can make them your own. You can do what you want with them. You can alter them and, just update them. So which I think is so cool as we go through this. So again, you get to deal with activities with both calculators because what I found out is I'm an Inspire user, and once I started really seriously using the Inspire, I kind of drifted away from the 84. But not a lot of teachers have the ability to drift away from the 84, and so but they still need activities. They still need stuff to do with that, and because the 84 is a solid calculator. It's been around for over 20 years now, and it's still a really, really good calculator. And so they keep trying to improve that too to make your lives a little bit better. So I also pulled up a two-way table activity in both the Nspire. So we have the Nspire activity here for students to go through. So what you would do is you would download the activity on their calculators, and then you would hand this out, and they would kind of go through. And you wouldn't necessarily have to hand this out if you want to save paper. You can just put this up on your board and have them follow along. But it's basically an activity comparing teenage females and teenage males on their curfews, and if there is a relationship between them. So you would kind of go through that and through a study that was done. And it leads you step by step, page by page here. But then again, at the end of it, you get to kind of do your own thing, all right, after you've finished with that. So once we get past those, we can kind of do our own. And that's, again, another reason why I like the activities that are presented here. There's also a version of it, okay, with the 84. All right, so this is, your activity sheet. This is actually the teacher version of it. This is the student version. So you kind of get your teacher and student, and it kind of leads the students through the activity and what they can do. So, again, there's a lot out there, and we try to narrow it down for you to kind of focus your attention. The majority of the activities that we have done are geared toward the core right now, because, that's going to be taught in every one of the math classes, and, that's a good starting point for us. So, and that's why I want my next wave to kind of incorporate IB-specific activities so we can get to those topics outside of the core, specifically for analysis and approaches, so specifically for applications and interpretation. So that is our next phase, and I'm really excited to kind of go forward. I just, even though we only have one more webinar, next month on topic 5, I was talking to my friend at TI, and he says, well, what do you want to do after that? What do you want to do, some more webinars? And so I'm just excited about where, TI is heading with this and helping everybody out. Because there's so much out there, and I'm nervous. I don't know about you, but I am definitely nervous, and I don't know. Some people say don't worry about it because IB has told us that 75 to 80% of the material is staying the same. So not to go crazy about the changes that are happening. And you can kind of see that in that file that I showed you earlier, that there's a lot of overlap. And so you can agree with what they're saying. But I still think that there are some big changes happening. Changing 20% of a class, that's kind of big in my eyes. Can they use the calculators for both classes on the exam? Yes, you can. As long as, like I said, if you have the CAS version, that must be turned off when they take the exam. So just to kind of let you know. So talking about that, my big concern with the switches that are happening is with the internal assessment, because the studies internal assessment has always been a statistics paper, and now it's becoming a math exploration. Even though IB has graded statistics papers with the new criteria, and there hasn't been much change, okay, I did the same thing, and unfortunately, yes, you're right. So Ellen said that study students do not have to choose stats for the IA. That is 100% true. Unfortunately, when I moderate papers, I graded probably around 115 papers from around the world. You're going to laugh at this, but 3 of them were not statistics papers. I was so excited when I didn't see that, but when I saw something that wasn't a statistics paper, but unfortunately the vast majority were the chi-square, linear regression, that was it. The correlation coefficient, those were it. So just kind of recapping, looking at this, can they use the calculators for both classes on their IB exams? Yes, they can. So, yes. So, again, if you have the CAS version of the CX2, you just have to turn that off, and then they could be used. If you don't have the CAS version, then that's fine. You don't have to worry about anything. That's fine for all exams going there. Okay. So please, please, please check out the activities when you get a spare moment, because we're teachers. Okay. So the next question came about for both papers of the exam. So as everybody knows, we have a paper 1 and a paper 2. So they're going to continue with what they've done with studies in SL and HL. So for the studies, if you remember, for both paper 1 and paper 2, the calculator can be used for both papers. So that's not going to change for the applications and interpretations class. You can still use the calculator for both papers. Now, going over to the for the analysis side of things, that is going to be the same as it was for the SL and the HL, where paper 1 was the no calculator and paper 2 was the calculator. So they are going to be splitting that up still, where one is no calculator and the other is calculator. All right, so thank you for whoever asked that for that clarification. All right, so again, please, as I said, we're all teachers. We all have tons and tons of time. So when you get that spare second, please check out the website to look at these activities, because I would honestly love to do a webinar just where we picked out 2 or 3 activities and did it, you know. I would love just to kind of go through them with people who are interested in going through the activities and how they can help the math class, for the IB math class. And for those people who are unaware, when you're, you know, teaching your IB math, do you have to use these activities? You know, not necessarily, because you can just actually use your calculators. So remember what's available to you on an Nspire or on a TI-84 with respect to probability and statistics. For those who are Nspire users, all right, I'm just on a calculator page here. They have probability section and a statistics section with tons and tons of information that you can do. All right, so just kind of peruse that. There's a lot that you can do without doing activities, and you can develop your own. Also, you can collect your own data and put it in a list and spreadsheet and then graph that and analyze that, okay, which I love. One other thing that I love doing is I love this feature on the Nspire. You can just plug in a sensor and collect data, okay? That is correct. So, and again, sorry, I'm just jumping in there reading the question. It said the TI-84 Plus, we do not have to turn off anything when taking the test because there's no CAS function. That is correct. Nothing has to be done. All they do is show up and take their exam with that. So thank you for asking. So again, I love the Nspire because I can just plug, what I did recently with my students is we plugged in a temperature probe and generated our own data and analyzed it just like that. And literally that took 10 minutes to set up, collect, all right, and then start analyzing in a class period. And we can plug in, you know, 70 or 80 sensors into that. You know, going to the 84, you can plug in sensors to that too and collect data. All right, so just use your calculators to your benefit. If you don't like the activities that are on the TI website, they're still there for usefulness. When the students are writing their IAs, they can use their calculators, you know, to help with the writing process. And when you collect data and analyze data, they can use that. All right, so just kind of be aware of that information. So use your calculators to the best of your ability. Now, your calculators, of course, shouldn't run the class, but they are help. They just help things along and enhance the learning and you know, kind of, I like to use my calculators as a let's pique their interest type of thing, because let's be honest, we can't make math exciting every period, every day in a school year. It's just not possible. I don't think any course could do that. They can try, and we can do our best to try, but I love having something in my classroom that, oh, that's pretty cool. What else can it do? And that's why I like the calculators there because, yes, I'm an Nspire user, so I could do a lot with that. Thank you for that, Natalia. That was funny. So I love the fact that, I can show something to my students and then let them take it and play around with it on the calculators. I'm not having the calculators do it for them, but I'm allowing them to get something out of it by using the calculator. So, hopefully you feel the same way kind of going forward. But, okay, just to recap things. I've been talking a lot. We're at the 45-minute mark of Dan Wilkie talking, and his voice is almost gone. But there's a sheet for you to look at, so hopefully you're going to use that sheet to kind of guide you through what the changes are. Feel free to send me messages, write me an email if you have any questions or concerns. I'm here to help. If you have been to a training or if you know something that wasn't talked about here and you'd like to share it with everybody, please do so. We're all here to help one another. And that's what I try to tell people with the webinars or if I'm at a workshop is, it's all about helping one another. Thank you for agreeing calculators to keep their interest. I love that. And you're welcome, Ellen. So, I just want, people to help one another through this process. When they said they were making these big changes, there was a lot of pushback from people. And I know people were very, very nervous about what was happening or going to happen. But if we do this together, it's not going to be that bad, I promise. Okay, and that's what we should be doing is working together, helping one another out. And if there's a way we can do that, I'm going to share my email address to everybody so you can send me information. Something I'd like to promote, though, real quick. If you have the ability, and Ruth is going to talk about that in a second, we have a conference coming up in March. So right there, it's going to be, hey, look at that. Wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that, Ruth. That's awesome. So what Ruth has just put up there, this is great. I am presenting at the T-Cubed International Conference, which is March 13th, 14th, and 15th in Dallas. I know everybody has the ability to just get to Dallas in March, but if you do, it's a wonderful sharing conference. Yes, we focus our attention on technology and how it can be used in the classroom, but it is some of the best 3 days of my teaching year is being at that conference with other excited math and science teachers. Just kind of feeling what they're doing because you have people from all over the world coming to this conference and sharing what they do in their classroom. And me, I'm lucky enough that I get to present. I'm actually presenting. There's one that's not on there. I'm actually doing 4 things at the conference. So my first one is bright and early Saturday morning. I'm doing what is TI and IB doing. So it's going to be a recap of what we've been doing on the webinars. So if you're interested and you can make it, please come and meet with me, talk with me. We're going to share some ideas and talk about the changes and what TI is doing to make things better for you. So that's first thing Saturday morning. At the end of Saturday, I've been selected to be part of what's called the 7 for 7. So they selected 7 teachers from basically around North and South America, I think, to share their inspiring ideas for teaching. And I can't wait. So I'm really excited to do mine, and I hope if you can make it, you can come see it. I also have a Connecting Algebra and Science with Technology. I'm presenting with a friend of mine later on Saturday, too. So if you're interested in that, we're making a good connection between our math and science teachers. And then finally, on Sunday, if you can make it, in the morning, we're having a little IB coffee chat. So it's another early morning thing before the conference ends where we're going to kind of sit down and talk about the changes and ideas and share things. It's a real informal thing. It's going to be myself and Jim Nakamoto. So he is the guy who helps me out because he's big with IB also. So the two of us are going to be sitting and talking to people and just answering questions and bouncing things off one another. Oh, good. You love Jim. I love Jim too. He is what started me on the path of both IB and TI, because my first ever IB training was with him in Savannah, and he was so good with the calculator. I said, "Oh, how'd you do that?" And he told me he was an instructor, and I'm like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And he's my first instructor. I wanted to be like Jim. I'll just say that. I wanted to be like Jim. So he and I have become real good friends, and we share a lot of ideas together. And so he and I will sit down and talk IB. So if you get a chance and you can make it to that conference, please. It's such a fun 3 days of people sharing ideas. And I mean, it says here on the screen, supercharge your teaching. I feel it's almost as if I came off of a 2-week holiday coming back to school, because I want to try so many things in my class after attending this. I'm not a salesman for TI. I don't try to sell things, but it is really my favorite conference of the year, just because you are surrounded by the top math and science teachers from around the world, and it's just awesome. So having said all that, I want to thank everybody for joining, and I'm going to hand it over to Ruth. So she's going to announce a winner of our drawing for everybody listening to me tonight. So take it away, Ruth. Ruth?
This would be unmuted. Okay. Yes, we do have a winner for tonight's drawing. And out of the random drawing, let me find, I discombobulated myself with that whole mute thing. Tonight's winner is Andre Rosario. So congratulations.
Congrats.
All right, I'll put that out in the chat window. Also, we're going to put out in the chat window the link to the certificate of attendance. Let me put that out here. That would be right here. Okay. You will also get this in follow-up email. You'll get the link to the documents, the document that Dan shared with you, and you'll also get a link to PDF slides for tonight. So if there was something that you missed, or you know someone that's doing it, or if you are watching it later. So you have that link. It'll come to you in email, and also the link to create this certificate of attendance.
And I shared my email with everybody, so if anybody has any questions, want to share stuff, feel free. Thank you so much.
I'm just putting up a slide there that's a reminder. Dan showed you where you can locate those resources, 2 different locations, 2 different ways to get them. That's a slide that's there. If you have some questions, we'll be on here a few more minutes, but that concludes tonight's event. We do have one scheduled. The last one that is currently scheduled, it'll be February 27th. Join us if you can. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Night, everyone.